Hi guys, Mike back again with a new series of videos, or what I am hoping is going to be a new series of videos, trying to give something back to the community, to the 2,400 and something people that support me on this channel and comment on my videos. I get questions and comments quite regularly asking me how I do stuff, how do I achieve that effect, what do I recommend for this, that and the other. And you might get a response, as those of you that have asked questions know, you might get a response immediately. Sometimes if I'm watching YouTube or on YouTube, you might get a response 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down the line. You might get a response 6 months later. And it's really bad, really poor. And I'm going to try and rectify that with a new series of videos. I've kind of worked out a little way how I can kind of make these videos to try and give something back to people who subscribe to my channel and to anyone else who's watching who's not subscribed. And again, if you're not, you can hit the subscribe if you are liking the content and all that. So the first little series of videos, it's going to be called Mike, how do you do whatever? Mike, how did you do that? How did you do that? So this one is Mike, how did you do the heavy chipping effect on your Death Guard? I get quite a few questions, comments about that chipping effect that I've done on the Death Guard, asking me how I have achieved it, and it's very, very easy. And I'm going to do a series of videos. I don't know how many videos it's going to be, but I want to try and keep them short and snappy, but mindful also not to upload hundreds of videos. So probably 3 or 4 videos just to give you an idea of how I achieve the effect that you are asking about. So heavy chipping. This is how I go about it. So it's going to be in sort of sections. The video is going to be in sections, and we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoy it, and if there's anything else you want to see, let me know, and I shall do my best to create a video and a new series of videos. Mike, how did you do that? So I'll catch you in a sec. Hi guys, Mike back again, and welcome to my airbrush booth. I've had some comments, questions about my rust effect on my Death Guard stuff. So I thought I would do a little video showing you how I do it, and so you can get the same results. Basically, it's really simple to do. It's a bit, and really effective, I think. But anyway, so the next thing we're painting up for Death Guard is a Leviathan Dreadnought. This was a beautiful model to go together. I mean, it's in the same vein as Contemptor Dreadnought from Forge World, but it just went together beautifully, cleaned up beautifully. It's just so nice. So I mean, I've posed him. He's fixed, posed. Looks a bit weird off the base, but this is the base for him. So his right foot will be standing on this plate, and his left foot is over here somewhere. So he's kind of walking up this this rocky outcrop, I suppose. This is just here for detail, or a bit of extra or whatever. So I'm going to paint him off the base and then glue him onto the base afterwards. Probably pin him through here. I've used a bit of cork to build up the base, and then just gravel and sand to fill in all the gaps, basically. So that's the base. Obviously, I'm not going to do rust effect on that, although you could do rust effect on here, but I'm not going to. So that's the Leviathan Dreadnought. We've got his head separate. Opted for the flamers for his torso-mounted weapons. Again, you could magnetize those. They go up in these recesses. I'm not going to bother. So that's that. And we got the top carapace, which you need to leave off because I want to paint the head separately. And the head goes in here. And if you put the carapace on first, you can't get the head in. And again, I'm not going to magnetize the weapons because I want him in a fixed pose. But we're going for the Storm Cannon, again, which is a really nice looking weapon. And the Siege Claw opened. Again, really nice detail. Lovely bits of the cable and stuff. It's just really, really nice. And those are keen-eyed amongst you will notice this. This is a bit of something. I can't remember. I think it was off the Basilisk. It was off the Basilisk kit I got with the Medusa. And you can see that I've cut into it, and I'm going to sort of mount it onto the Siege Claw, so it looks like he's kind of clawed in and ripped it off, or so he's still holding it basically. So I'm going to paint that up separately, and that's that. So yeah, I've got my first little foray into Age of Sigmar 2. Going to paint up this Tomb Banshee at the same time just to have a go. And this is a base for my Death Guard Moritat, which I haven't built yet, but I've just made the base up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base coat the whole thing first. I'm going to prime the thing. And I like to use Panzer Grey surface primer from Vallejo. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you what it looks like in a sec. Okay guys, after the primer's down, we've done it all now. So the entire Leviathan's been primed in the Panzer Grey that I showed you previously. Good coverage, couple of coats. Make sure you get all the bits, all the undersides and stuff, all the details. Just make sure it's all covered. And I've done all the bits. I've done the head and the flamers and the top carapace and the weapon options. I'm just painting this Tomb Banshee at the same time. So that's that. So the next thing to do is to produce the rust effect, basically. So I'm going to use some Citadel colours, and basically what I do is to start dark and work my way up to kind of lighter rust colours. So I will dry brush and overbrush Rhinox hide over everything pretty much. Leave the real deep recesses black, but because this is the darkest colour, it can go into all the deep recesses too. And then I just build my way up these browns basically. Then I do Morfang brown, but a bit less than the Rhinox. Then what have we got? Then we kind of move on to these ones: XV88, Jacaro orange, and rat skin flesh. Just all over the model basically. It doesn't really matter what it looks like because you are going to paint the whole thing afterwards anyway. I also forgot to add Riser Rust, the Citadel Technical Paint, the dry brush rust paint, when we were trying to create a rust effect. That's probably quite handy to use. So these sort of 6 paints, just randomly using dry brushes, just basically all over the model. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've finished it. Okay guys, we're back, and I've spent about an hour with those colours that I showed you in the previous section of this video, and a large, medium and small dry brush, and created this effect. So what I've done is gone in with the dark browns, light browns, oranges and rust colours, and just kind of have at it really. Doesn't really matter what it's going to look like, doesn't matter at all, because you're going to cover it all anyway. So these are the colours that are going to appear when you start to chip the model effectively. So yeah, try to sort of keep the lighter colours near the top and on the edges, and just kind of giving it a nice rust type effect. And again, you don't need to go mad really. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And again, I've tried to keep the recesses dark, and the top bits kind of more highlighted on the edges and things. And then the Dreadnought itself, you can see, just kind of all over. So that's that. Yep, just spent about an hour doing that really. Again, just letting the paint dry, and getting all the paints kind of looking how I want it to look. But again, it doesn't really matter what it looks like as long as you've got some undercolour under your base coat. So we've primed it, we have undercoated it in this rust colour. Then the next thing we're going to do is use AK Interactive's heavy chipping acrylic fluid. On the instructions of the bottle, it advises you to apply this through an airbrush, 2 to 3 coats. So you apply a coat to the model. As soon as the coat's dry, you apply another, and you can apply 2 to 3. It says I use 2 generally, and then once the second or third coat, once your final coat of the heavy chipping acrylic fluid is dry, you go on with your base coat of whatever colour it's going to be. And for my Death Guard, I'm using Rakarth Flesh as my base coat. So through the airbrush again, I will do a couple of coats of the Rakarth Flesh over the heavy chipping fluid, but once the heavy chipping fluid is dry. And then that's it. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll show you what it looks like after it's finished.